In the midst of all the chaos happening politically and culturally, I continue to hear the claim being made that the Constitution is somehow the problem, that it's outdated, archaic, even evil. Now, I'm not here to discuss whether or not government's following the rules. They clearly are not. And I'm not here to discuss whether or not the people regard the Constitution as the rule of law. Different discussion for a different day. What I want to talk about just briefly is whether or not the Constitution is relevant for our time. And for those making the claim that it's outdated, my question is where? Where is it outdated? Is it the 13th Amendment? The provision of our Constitution that abolishes slavery? No more involuntary servitude. Is that outdated? Or is it the 15th Amendment? The provision of our governing document that says you cannot stop a person from voting based on their race? Or the 19th Amendment? You cannot prohibit a person from voting based on their gender? Or is it the 14th Amendment that's outdated? Equal protection under the law. The government doesn't get to pick winners and losers. Is that idea somehow outdated? Or is it the 5th and 6th Amendments? Due process protections. That is, when government decides to mount its resources against an individual, accusing him or her of a crime, there are certain rules that have to be followed. You cannot compel an individual to be a witness against himself. No double jeopardy. The right to a fair trial, speedy trial, public trial. The right to compel one's own witnesses to come in and testify on their behalf. The right to confront the government's witnesses. The right to an impartial jury. Are those due process protections somehow outdated? Has government somehow become so noble that they can be trusted in the face of an individual potentially losing their liberty? Or is it the 4th Amendment that's outdated? That when government decides that they want to search someone's home, their person, their effects, that they have to follow certain rules before they can do so. Is that outdated? Or is it the 2nd Amendment that's outdated? The right to defend oneself even under the point of defending against tyrannical impulses. Are those ideas outdated, that inherent freedom personally and collectively in a society can no longer be protected? Or is it the 1st Amendment that's outdated? The right of free speech, free assembly, free press, the free exercise of religion, the right to petition government for redress of grievances. Are those fundamental freedoms outdated somehow? Or maybe it's the first 7 articles of the Constitution, that which outlines what government is specifically permitted to do. And if the federal government is not given the authority to do so in those first 7 articles, those powers and authorities remain with the states and with the people. Limited government. Is that somehow outdated? I think not. The reality is this. The chaos that we're experiencing in our culture today is not because of the Constitution. It's in spite of it. What are your thoughts? Where do we go from here? And what role should the Constitution play? Follow me for more content on freedom. And let's work together to get America back on the freedom train.